Hey everybody, welcome to Astronomy 111 Online. I'm Brian Gleim. We'll get more into what this class is in the next video, but I'm just making this short video to go through a quick introduction, hit the high points of the syllabus that you're going to want to know, show you what the Canvas course looks like so that you can hit the ground running and get the semester off to a good start. So, first off, this is an introductory astronomy class with an emphasis on planets and the solar system. So what that means is we're going to go through a lot of the introductory basic ideas and definitions and tools that any astronomer uses, but then we're going to use those tools to get more into how do we learn things about planets and moons and asteroids and solar systems and all that kind of good stuff. So before we get to that, pardon me. All right, I'm Brian Gleim. Hey. Be sure to read the whole syllabus. This little video is just going to sort of hit the really relevant high points, but there's a lot of useful information in the syllabus. Make sure you read the whole thing there under Syllabus Plus on Canvas. All right. If you want to email me, I have a GCC email right there. And the problem with that is it is full of junk, right? People are emailing all of us from all over the district. And you're the person I want to get an email from. And all of the other spam can wait. So the fastest way to get a hold of me is just to send me an email through Canvas. That's the email account that I check more often. So that you can hear back from me as fast as possible. My office hours are, I've got office hours Monday through Thursday. I'm in the physical science building here at the GCC main campus. So during those office hours, I'm going to be here in my office, and I'm also going to be at that Google Meet room there at the bottom of the page. So you can, if you want to come into my office hours, you can either come in person, or you can just drop into that Google Meet room and we can talk one-on-one and you can ask whatever questions or talk about whatever you need to talk about. Right? Both of those options are there for you. And it's an office hour, right? I'm going to be there. You don't need to make an appointment. You can just show up either in person or online and get whatever help you need. All right? The two texts for the class are a subscription to our Taurus class. And Taurus is our online homework platform that we're going to be using for essentially lab lessons and quizzes, kind of like quizzes. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. The textbook, such that it is what we're calling the Planetologist's Tool Belt, which is a sort of a workbook, a study guide of micro tasks is what we're calling them. Short little assignments that you'll work on to give you some extra practice on all the tools that we're working on in this class. I'll show you what both of those look like here in a second. But the Planetologist Tool Belt, we wrote it here on campus, so you can either download the PDF right there off of Canvas, or you can. I'm happy to have it printed up for you. So there's a quiz, there's a survey, not a quiz, but a survey on Canvas where you can tell me that you want me to print up a copy for you, and I'll have it printed up, and you can come here to the department office and pick it up so that you have the book, the physical book there to write in and help you out. So the only thing that you need to pay for is the Taurus course. That's the only text that you need to pay for this class. There isn't a traditional textbook. To go back a second, the microtask book is, like I said, it's sort of a book of practice problems, study guides, that kind of stuff. And so it is not a traditional textbook because you don't learn science out of a book. I mean, you learn a little bit of it, but, science is something you do, right? Science is an activity. It's a process. And so you're not going to learn as much or as well out of a book. So since it's not that good, I mean, since learning science out of a textbook isn't that good, I'm not going to have you do it. However, if at some point during the semester you think, yeah, I could really use an extra little help, I could really use a textbook to sort of read through to give you a little bit of extra help, I would point you to the astronomy textbook by OpenStax. It's a pretty good textbook. It's more of a traditional textbook. It's free, always good. And so, if in a couple of weeks you think you want a little bit of extra help, you want somebody else's explanation of how one of these ideas works, sometimes having somebody tell you the same thing but with different words helps it click in your head, and that can help you. Later on, at some point in the semester, if you think you want to use a little bit of extra, you could use a little extra resource to help you out with the class, I would point you there at this OpenStax textbook. It's free. The authors are good at writing the textbook, so it's just an extra resource there for you. It's not required for the class. I'm not going to be assigning reading out of it. It's just there as a help for you if you want it later on. Okay, so everything in the class is going to launch through Canvas. So I'm trying to make Canvas your one-stop shop for everything for the class. So Canvas, you'll go to the Canvas class, which I'll show you here in a minute, and that'll have everything for you. So Canvas is how I will send out announcements or emails to you or to the whole class. It's where you'll read the syllabus. My lecture slides, my lecture videos will launch through Canvas. The homework, the lab, the Taurus labs, the quizzes, and the final project, everything will launch through Canvas there. And then it's got your gradebook also. So, here's the general idea. Here's the general structure for the class. I'll have my lecture videos posted. You'll watch the video. Then you will do the relevant assignment in the microtask book, in the planetologist's tool belt. And then you'll do the lab lessons in Taurus. Okay? And that'll be the general rhythm, is watch the video, do the microtasks, do the Taurus assignment, or assignments if there's more than one. And then every 2 weeks there will be a quiz. A quiz on the topics that we covered the previous 2 weeks. At the end of the semester, depending on how the schedule works out, we'll either do 7 or 8 quizzes. Regardless of whether we do 7 or 8 total, at the end of the semester, I'm going to take your top 5 quiz scores. That's what's going to go into your final grade. The bottom 2 or 3 quizzes, I drop. So, there's no midterm exam, and there's no final exam. At the end of the semester, there will be a final project, and this project is, it's more of a realistic simulation of what it's like to do science, right? Because, like I said, science is something you do. It's not something you just take a written final exam on. Like, that's not real science. And we're trying to make this class as much as like hands-on real science as we can. So, at the end of the semester, there'll be this project for you to work on, this simulation for you to make measurements, analyze your measurements to figure out real things about the stars and planets that you're looking at. And that'll be the end of the semester. The project will be cumulative of everything that you've learned over the course of the semester. The final project, we'll talk more about the final project toward the end of the semester when that's time. But there isn't a time limit. You'll have the last 2 or 3 weeks of the semester to work on the final project. There'll be time for you to review all your notes and work on the project, and it's not timed. So, all you got to do is watch the videos, do the microtask homeworks, do the Taurus labs, take the quiz every 2 weeks, and then review your notes for the project at the end of the semester. That's the whole class. No midterm exam, no final exam. Isn't that nice? All right. that'll be the general structure for the class. So let me show you on Canvas here. Let me show you what this looks like. Okay, so here's the... Yeah, this is the right one. Okay, just wanted to make sure I'm in the right Canvas class here. All right, so here's the front page. You can either click Start Here, and it'll take you to the modules page, or you can just go directly to the modules page. The modules page is where all of the assignments for the whole course are listed and in order. So all you got to do, the only thing you got to look at, well, not the only thing, but the main thing that you need to look at for the course is look at the modules and just make sure you're doing all of the assignments in order. All right. So probably by this point, by the point that you're watching this video, you've already read my welcome message. If you haven't, then read that. You're going to read the whole syllabus under Syllabus Plus. So go ahead over here to click on Syllabus Plus. Read the whole syllabus. At the bottom of the syllabus, a window will pop up that acknowledges that you've read it. I need you to acknowledge that you've read the syllabus. I need that by the end of this first week, or else I'm required to drop you from the class. So make sure, by the end of the first day, really, read the syllabus, acknowledge that you've read it, and we're ready to get started. Here is the welcome video that you're watching right now, so check. Here is the microtask book. You can just download it right from this link, and I'll show you what it looks like here in a sec. Or answer this survey and ask me to print you up a copy, and then you can come to the department and pick up your hard copy. All right? Okay. On day one, you're ready to get started. Watch this first video where I get more into the beginning of the semester and what we're going to be talking about this semester. Then you're ready for this first Taurus lesson about science, about what is science. With most of these Taurus lessons, there will also be an application or an assessment, sometimes we call it. Let me show you what this looks like. So click on this. It'll have it pop up in a new tab. Make sure that your web browser is not blocking pop-ups so that new tab pops up. One thing to say is I'm using Chrome, the Chrome browser. This is probably what you're going to want to use. The Canvas and Taurus works best in the Chrome browser. I have not had very many problems with Firefox. I don't use Edge because why would you? And don't use Safari. Just as wise words to live by, don't use Safari. Just ever. So Chrome is your best bet for Canvas and Taurus. Okay, so you go to Taurus. It'll give you this reminder that says you've got 2 weeks to pay for it. So at some point in the next 2 weeks, pay for it. All right. And then you're ready to get started with the assignments. Now, I can't, for whatever reason, Canvas and Taurus don't talk to each other perfectly. They talk to each other well, but not perfectly. So I can't link the item in the module directly to the assignment. You got to go there yourself. So every time you go to Taurus, it's going to look like this. And then I think for me, the easiest thing to do is just go over to assignments here, and it'll list all of the assignments. And then you can just click on, okay, I'm going to work on the science lesson. That's what you clicked on. And then you're ready to go. These Taurus lessons are organized with pages, kind of like a PowerPoint presentation, sort of, where, you're either going to read something and then, you're like, all right, I'm ready to begin. You click on begin and you're ready to start. And then you read everything and you click continue. And then you're going to come to a question and then you answer the questions. The reason why I like this as online homework is it allows you to make a mistake and then fix it. So you'll answer a question, and if you get the question right, it'll tell you immediately, yes, you got it right, you understand, move on. Good to know. Always good to know whether you're understanding what's going on. Or if you're making a mistake, it has some feedback built in, where if you make a mistake, it will hopefully give you some helpful feedback so that you go, oh, I did this, but I should have done this. Okay, fix your mistake, try again. Hopefully you get it right the second time. It'll tell you you got it right. Great. You fixed your misunderstanding. Move on. For the Taurus lessons, it won't let you continue until you get the question right. So in order to finish the Taurus lesson, you got to get all the questions right. If you're confused, then that's going to get pretty frustrating. If you're stuck at a certain point and you can't advance, you're going to get frustrated. And that's fine. What do you do in that instance? Come into office hour, right? Ask for help. Because, like I said, science is something you do, and one of the things that you do in science is you get frustrated and stuck, you ask somebody else for help. It's what we real scientists do. Is you goof up, you go to somebody and go, what am I doing wrong? And they say, oh, you need to do this instead of that, and you go, duh, all right, get it right, move on. It's what you're going to do in the homework. It's what we real scientists do in real life, because science is not something you do by yourself, right? Science is a human activity. It's something that we work on together. Like building a house. The more people you have working together, it gets done faster and easier. You could build a house by yourself. It would take a lot longer, and you'd make more mistakes. And science is the same way. So when you get stuck in a lesson, either come into office hours and ask for help, or post your question to the discussion board, and that way I'll go to the discussion board, I'll answer your question, and that way I have that question answered for everybody. So if you're stuck on something, go to the discussion board, see if, and let me show you what the discussion board looks like here. There we go, discussions. So I have a discussion board for every module. So, okay, I'm working on module 1. If you're stuck on one of the assignments, or if you're confused about something in module 1, you click on that, see if somebody's already asked that question. If somebody's already asked that question, then you got your answer right there. If nobody's asked that question yet, then you get to be the first person. Ask your question, attach a screenshot, right? Take a screenshot of this page and attach that to your question so that I can see what you're seeing. And then I'll answer that question for you and everybody else. All right, so you can either post the question to a discussion board and I'll answer it there, or you can just come into office hours and I'll answer it for you in real time. Okay, cool. All right, so the bad news is you can't finish this Taurus lesson until you get all the questions right. The good news is once you're done, it means you've got all the questions right and I give you full points. Doesn't matter how many questions you got wrong along the way. As long as you finish the Taurus lesson, I give you 100%. Because you got all the questions right in the long run. So there you go. After you're done with the Taurus lesson, and you'll get all 100 points for that, then you can do the application. And, the lessons, the science or the Taurus lessons are, they're long. They're a whole homework set or lab, whatever you want to call it. The application or the assessment lessons are basically like little quizzes at the end. Like, all right, you finished the science lesson, great. Take this little science application quiz. See if you're understanding what's going on. This is where you might lose some points. So make sure that you understand everything in the lesson before you do the application, because if you get questions wrong in the application, you might lose those points. Okay? Great. Once you've done those Taurus lessons, then you're ready to watch this next video, all right, about size and scale. After you watch this video, then you're ready to start the first micro task out of the book. Okay, so it says micro task number 1, calculators. What is this assignment? This assignment is go to the book. And here's what the book looks like. Here's the front page. All right. Micro task 1 is on page 1. So each of these micro tasks is 3 or 4 pages, right? You're going to read the first page, you read the second page, there's a few questions for you to answer here on page 2. Once you're done reading and answering all the questions for the first 2 pages, then you're ready to start with these practice problems on page 3. Do all the practice problems on page 3, and then the text sort of spills over to page 4 here. But that's it, right? Once you've done all of the practice problems, you're done with that micro task. And in my videos, I'm going to help you out with those. I'm going to help you out with these micro tasks in the lecture videos also, which I'll make explicit in the video. Once you're done with that, once you're done with the micro task, those 3 pages, then you can do this little practice. So I've got some more practice problems, right? If you understood what you did in the micro task and you got all the questions right in the practice problems, then you're ready to do a few more practice problems just for me to quiz you and make sure that it's all making sense. So basically the practice here is more practice problems like the ones you just did there on page 3. Do a few more, and that's how you'll turn in the micro task assignment. All right? That's that, all right? And then you're ready to do micro task 2 out of the book and then do the practice problems for that, great? And then once you've done these micro tasks, then you're ready to do the next Taurus lesson called Tools of the Trade, and so on, all right? It's probably easier to watch the video, do the micro tasks out of the book because they're short and sweet and they're easier. And then once you're done with the micro tasks and they're all making sense, then you can get started on the slightly larger work of the Taurus lessons. All right. So like I said, you're just going to go down the list, do all of the assignments in the modules page, and you're ready to go. Okay. One weird thing, like I said, Taurus and Canvas don't talk to each other perfectly. So when you click on these Taurus links, it'll pop out that new tab to take you to Taurus, and you'll do the lessons in Taurus. After you're done with an assignment in Taurus, Taurus will send your grade to the Canvas gradebook. Okay, so there's nothing for you to submit in Taurus. Once you're done, your score will automatically get sent to the Canvas gradebook. So, in Canvas, this is going to be a little bit confusing because there's no better way to do it, unfortunately. So let me just say this right now so that you're not confused later. The Taurus assignments in Canvas and the links in the module are not the same thing. So you're going to go to the Canvas assignment. You're going to go to the Taurus assignments from the modules page. If you click on the assignment, if you click on that Taurus assignment in the list of assignments for the class or in your calendar, I'm going to put due dates. I'm going to put due dates for these Taurus lessons, and they'll show up in your Canvas calendar. You're not going to access the Taurus assignments from your calendar or from the gradebook. You're going to access them through the module here. So you're going to go to Taurus from the module, but then the assignment score will show up from Taurus into your gradebook. Okay? Okay. So that way, I've had students in the past that they click on the assignment in their calendar and it doesn't take them to Taurus because you go to Taurus through the module. They're two separate things and there's no way to make them the same thing, unfortunately. So hopefully that makes some sense. Okay. So that's the class, right? You do that for module 1, and then once you're done with module 1, go on to module 2, right? I will fill out the rest of these due dates shortly, and that way you know what pace you should be working at. Let me say this. The due dates are they're to give you an indication of what pace you should be working at. Okay? So if you're falling behind, if you get stuck and you're falling behind on the due dates, don't panic, okay? I'm not going to lock you out of work if it's a day late, all right? I say in the syllabus I don't take late work because late means like really, really late, okay? The due dates on Canvas are there to give you a sense of when you should be doing the assignments and what pace you should be working at. This is an online class. You can do it at your own pace, and at your own pace means if you want to do things ahead of time, great. If you start falling behind, I'll still take the work. I'll accept work after the due date. The due date is there as a guideline for when you should do it. If you find yourself falling behind, ask for help. All right? If you find yourself a day behind, if you're a day behind, all hope is not lost. You'll be fine. Just work a little faster and get caught up. If you find yourself a couple of days behind, that's when you really need to come into my office hour and ask for help, post a question to the discussion board, get some help so that you can get caught up. All right? Because if you stick to the due dates and you get it done at that pace, that means you won't be behind and you won't be rushing at the end of the semester. At the end of the semester, you're worrying about all your classes, you're worrying about finals, term papers, blah, blah, blah. And I don't want you to be behind in this class, struggling to get caught up while you're stressing out about the rest of your classes, right? So the whole point of these due dates is if you can get the work done at that pace, then you won't be, you'll get everything done on time and you won't be rushing at the end of the semester. Okay? Okay. That's the whole class. All right. So, if you got some questions, you know what to do. Make sure you've read the whole syllabus. Fill out this survey just to tell me if you need the book, the physical copy of the book, and then get started on the first video lecture. All right. If you got some questions, send me an email, or post your question to the discussion, and I'll see you when I see you. Have a great day, everybody.